Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the process of multiplying two polynomials together. At the end of today's lesson, I will also introduce multiplying two trinomials together. First, let's recall the process of multiplying two binomials. In our previous lesson, we talked about using FOIL to help us do this. In FOIL, all we do is we multiply the first terms and the outer terms, or you're basically distributing the x in the first parentheses. What we end up with is x times 2x, which is 2x squared, plus x times 3, which is a positive 3x. Next, I take my 7, or negative 7, and distribute it to both terms in the other set of parentheses. This is the I for inner terms and L for last terms in your FOIL acronym. Negative 7 times 2x is a negative 14x. And negative 7 times 3, the last terms in each parentheses, is negative 21. Combining the like terms in the middle, I end up with 2x squared minus 11x minus 21. Again, down below, I'm going to take my 5x and multiply by the 8x. Those are the first terms in each parentheses. I'm then going to multiply the outermost terms in each parentheses. 5x times 8x is positive 40x squared. 5x times negative 6 is a negative 30x. Moving on to the innermost terms and the last terms in the parentheses, negative 2 times 8 is a negative 16x, and negative 2 times negative 6 gives me a positive 12. Combining my like terms in the middle, I end up with 40x squared minus 46x plus 12. We're going to move into now multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. We use a very similar process. In our previous lesson, when we talked about multiplying two binomials, we discussed how we can take this entire set of parentheses on the front and distribute it to each term in the other set of parentheses. So what I end up with is the x squared from the right times the x plus 2 that I'm distributing, plus 3x from my parentheses on the right, times the x plus 2 that I'm distributing, and plus 4 from the right, times the x plus 2 that I'm distributing. From here, I'm going to distribute my x squared. X squared times x gives me x to the third, and x squared times 2 gives me a positive 2x squared. My second set, 3x times x squared, is a positive 3x squared. And 3x times positive 2 is a positive 6x. Lastly, 4 times x is a positive 4x. And 4 times 2 is a positive 8. From here, I'm going to go ahead and look for any like terms that I might have. I see 2x squared terms, so I can add those together, and I also see 2x terms, so I can add those together. What I end up with is x to the third plus 5x squared when I combine those x squared terms, plus 10x when I combine the x terms, and then plus 8. Since there are no more like terms, I may not simplify this any further. We can simplify this process as we did before with our FOIL method by simply taking each term from the parentheses on the left and distributing it to everything in the set of parentheses on the right. So first I will take the x from the parentheses on the left and multiply it by my entire trinomial on the right. X times x squared is x to the third power. X times 2x is a positive 2x squared. X times positive 3 gives me a positive 3x. And then I move on to the second term in that first set of parentheses. So now I'm going to distribute my positive 4 to all three terms in the trinomial on the right. 4 times x squared is a positive 4x squared. 4 times 2x is a positive 8x. And 4 times 3 is a positive 12. Now I'm going to look for any like terms and combine them by adding their coefficients. I have a 2x squared. That is a like term with my positive 4x squared. So I may add those coefficients. I may also combine my 3x with my positive 8x. So what I end up with is x to the third, combining the coefficients of 2 and positive 4, I get a positive 6x squared. Adding the coefficients on my x terms, I have a positive 3 and a positive 8, which add to positive 11x plus 12. And this is as simplified as you can get. Go ahead and take a moment and pause the video and try the next one on your own. You first should have distributed your x from the left to get x to the third plus 4x squared plus 2x. Then distributing the negative 3, you should have negative 3x squared minus 12x minus 6. Combining your like terms from there, you should have obtained x to the third plus 1x squared minus 10x minus 6. Again, go ahead and try these next two on your own, and I'll show your answers in just a moment. From the first, you should have 2x to the third plus 5x squared plus 7x minus 5. And from the second, you should have 20x to the third plus 7x to the second minus 1x minus 2. Go ahead and take a second to pause the video one more time, practice these two more before I introduce one more new topic for the day. From the first, you should have 12x to the third plus 26x squared plus 2x minus 4. And the second, 18x to the third plus 18x squared plus 17x plus 20. Our last topic for the day, I would like to introduce to you multiplying two trinomials. We're going to follow a very similar process. The only difference is now we're going to be distributing 3 times instead of just twice. First, I'm going to start by multiplying my x squared by everything in the other set of parentheses. When I multiply x squared times x squared, I get x to the 4th power, adding those exponents together. X squared times positive 5x gives me positive 5x to the 3rd power. And x squared times 4 gives me positive 4x squared. Moving on to my next term, I'm going to multiply 3x by everything in the other set of parentheses. 3x times x squared gives me a positive 3x to the 3rd power. 3x times 5x gives me positive 15x squared. And 3x times positive 4 gives me positive 12x. Finally, for the third time, we distribute our 2. 2 times x squared gives me positive 2x squared. 2 times 5x gives us positive 10x. And 2 times 4 gives us a positive 8. From here, we look for any like terms. I'm going to go ahead and start by looking for any like terms with my x to the 4th. I don't see any, so I'm just going to write my x to the 4th. Since there are so many terms here in this polynomial, I'm going to cross it off and look for any x to the 3rds. I see a 5x to the 3rd and a 3x to the 3rd. Adding their coefficients, I end up with a positive 8x to the 3rd. Again, I'll go ahead and cross those off and look for anything with an x to the 2nd power. 4x to the 2nd, 15x to the 2nd, and 2x to the 2nd all combine to a positive 21x to the 2nd power. I'll go ahead and cross those off. Now I'm looking for something with just x to the 1st. I have 12x and 10x, which add to positive 22x. Crossing those off, the only thing left is my positive 8. And we cannot simplify this any further since there are no more like terms. Go ahead and take a moment to pause the video and try the second and last one on your own. After distributing the x squared, the negative 2x, and the positive 1, when I combined like terms, I got x to the 4th plus 1x to the 3rd. All of my x squareds ended up canceling each other out, so I had none of those, but I have a negative 7x and a plus 5. Once here, you cannot simplify any further since there are no more like terms. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.